Good morning, 8th grade. Mr. Holland here, and I wanted to start our first lesson off by looking at what are called projectile motion word problems. We've been studying quadratic functions, how to factor them, how to find the maximum, etc. And so we're going to now try to connect that to real-world scenarios. Now, the way that I recommend you go through this lesson is to play the videos. And of course, I'm going to do all of these problems for you, but I would encourage you to pause the video and try the problems on your own before you simply watch me doing the problems. For this lesson, you're going to need pencil, you're going to need paper, and also I wanted to point out a website. So I'm using Desmos today, so you can just go to desmos.com and you can graph any function that you need to graph. You'll also need, well, you don't necessarily need this, but I've provided you a copy of these word problems in Canvas that you can download and print out if you wanted to, but you don't necessarily have to. So all of these problems today are real-world applications of quadratics, and we're going to be solving all of these by factoring. So as I've told you before, if you ever see a word problem that involves something like throwing a ball up in the air or shooting a rocket or hitting a golf ball, these are all quadratic equation problems. So we know that we're going to be dealing with quadratics and parabolas and factoring them. So guys, let's go ahead and get started. So number one says, and by the way, I want you to just watch me do number one, and then you don't have to pause the video to try number one. I'm going to demonstrate that, and then maybe you could pause before you go to number two. So number one says, a relief package is released from a helicopter at 1,600 feet. The height of the package can be modeled by the equation h, which is height, so equals negative 16t squared plus 1,600, where h is the height of the package in feet, and t is the time in seconds. The pilot wants to know how long it will take for the package to hit the ground. So A says for us to write the equation that you're trying to solve. So before we do that, I've drawn a little picture here to so you can understand what's going on. You'll notice that this 1,600 is the y-intercept. So this is where the helicopter would be when the relief package is dropped out of the helicopter. And so what you'll also notice, if you look at this quadratic graphed in Desmos, you'll notice on the left I simply typed in the equation here, or the expression, and then it graphed the problem here. You'll notice that the y-intercept is also the maximum value, which means that the y-intercept and the maximum, or the vertex, are at the same place. So we could imagine that the helicopter is here. I actually drew a little picture, and I'm going to try to show you that picture here that represents, that represents the helicopter. So in other words, the helicopter is, well, where am I here? The helicopter is here, and the package is being dropped at the vertex, and we're trying to figure out how long it's going to take for that package to hit the ground. So basically, we're trying to find the zeros. So let's go back, and we're just going to go through this step by step. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be solving the problems on the paper, and then I'm going to share with you step by step. So as I said before, there's no need right now for you to pause to solve this unless you wanted to. So A says write the equation that you're trying to solve. So if we're finding the zeros, we're trying to find, what times or what t values are going to create an expression or are going to create a scenario where the output is equal to 0. So for A, we would simply write, that we're trying to find, where is it? We're trying to find negative 16t squared plus 1600 is equal to 0. And then it asks us to solve this by factoring. So we notice that the A term is not 1. We also notice that the B term is missing and that the C term is 1,600. So the first thing we want to do is to try to factor out a common factor. I think we can see that the A term and the C term share a factor of 16. So we could factor out a 16 here. And in this case, we actually want to factor out a negative 16, because in order to factor, we're going to need this a term to be positive. So I'm going to do that on my paper, and then I'm going to show you what the result would be. So again, we're going to factor out a negative 16. So give me just a sec. This would be 0 is equal to, I'm going to factor out a negative 16, and I'm going to be left with a t squared, and then I'm going to be left with a minus 100. And the reason it is minus 100 is because when I do a positive 16 or a positive 1,600 divided by a negative 16, that's going to give me a negative 100. So again, I'm looking at something like this. So 0 equals negative 16, and then I've got t squared times negative 100. So so the next step is going to be pretty straightforward, because to factor what's left, I just have to do an inverse FOIL. So I'm going to inverse FOIL next. So give me a sec and let me inverse FOIL this. So 0 equals negative 16, and then parentheses. Now I'm going to inverse FOIL. So I'm just going to create 2 parentheses. All right, 2 parentheses here, and I'm trying to figure out two numbers that will multiply to give me negative 100 and will add up to give me 0. And the reason they need to add up to give me 0 is because the b term is missing. I'm missing the b term. So as we're thinking about that, 2 numbers that multiply to negative 100 and add up to 0, I'm thinking about positive 10 and negative 10, which means that factored form is going to be t plus 10 times t minus 10. All right, so factored form, I'm looking at t plus 10 times t minus 10. So if you wanted to right now, you could FOIL this back out and make sure that all of this equals the original function, and it does. So we're going to go ahead and calculate the zeros. So I'm trying to find out what values of t will make either the first parentheses, so what values of t will make this parentheses or this parentheses equal to 0. And when we're doing that, when we're thinking about that, I think that we see that if I plug in a negative 10 here, that this parentheses would equal 0, or if I plugged in a positive 10 here, that this parentheses would equal 0. So to summarize, the zeros of this function are going to be t is equal to negative 10 or t is equal to positive 10. So let me write that down, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So t is equal to negative 10 or positive 10. So t is equal to positive 10 or negative 10. So in context, what that means is that the value, okay, what are we talking about here? The package, yeah. So the package will be at the ground level, or will be 0 feet above the ground when t is equal to negative 10 or when t is equal to 10. Now, only one of these makes sense. If we were to say that the package is at the ground at negative 10 seconds, that means 10 seconds before it was actually dropped. So, you know, to me that doesn't make sense, because that was like 10 minutes before. So the only value that makes sense here is positive 10. So to answer the question, we would say that the package hits the ground 10 seconds after it's dropped. So I would actually write that down. So the package hits the ground 10 seconds after it is dropped. So again, you know, it's going to hit the ground 10 seconds after it's dropped. We can see that in the little picture here, in that, you know, this point here would be 10 seconds after. Let's go to Desmos. So let me just show you on Desmos, because I think it makes a little more sense. So again, on Desmos, the top here, the 1,600, where you see my cursor, this is the helicopter. This is where the helicopter was. it drops the package, and we'll see that, as the package is dropped, maybe it goes to 1,500 feet above ground, and it continues to go down and down and down and down. You'll see it at 900, it goes down. But at 10 seconds, when X is 10, or when time is equal to 10, the package is actually 0 feet above the ground, which means that the package has hit the ground. On the left side, we see the -0, but the -0 does not make sense. It is not in this domain. In other words, that -10 does not make sense in this scenario, so we would say that it's just void. Okay, so let's go back to the second example, and the second example, I am going to want you to go ahead and try it on your own. So let's scroll down. So this one says the height of a flare. So a flare is like a firework or something that you would shoot off of a ship if your ship's in trouble. So the height of a flare fired from the deck of a ship in distress can be modeled by the function. Height equals -16t squared plus 104t plus 56, where h is the height of the flare above the water and t is the time in seconds. Find the time it takes the flare to hit the water. So the first thing we would do is write the equation. So obviously, we're trying to figure out, what values of t, what t values, what time values make this function equal to 0. Because if the function is equal to 0, that means that the flare has actually already gone up and is back down at water level. So we're trying to figure out, when is the height equal to 0? And so first we're going to write the equation we're trying to solve. And so again, we're trying to make this equation equal to 0. So for the second example, and I'm going to go down the second example. I need to turn this over, sorry. So the second example, we would say that we want to make this equation equal to 0. I did draw a little diagram here. So we've got the ship which is here, and you'll notice that we're shooting the flare off of the deck. It's going up, and then it's coming down and hitting the water. So we're trying to calculate this point on the parabola. When it's on the deck, that represents the y-intercept, and we know that's 56 feet. We know that's 56 feet by looking at the y-intercept. So this plus 56 represents the y-intercept. I'm going to go to Desmos for just a second and show you some things on Desmos. So if I wanted to graph this on Desmos, I want to talk about how we can use Desmos to change our y-intercept. So you'll notice this one, the y-axis goes to 1600. The way that I made that happen is I went to the little wrench on the right side here, and I changed my y-axis to go up to 16 something and down to like 1,400 something. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and graph the other function. I'm going to delete the function that I have. And I'm going to, so I'm basically graphing number 2. I'm graphing number 2 here. And number 2 is going to look like this. So I'm just typing this in using my keyboard. So -16, I'm going to use x here instead of t. So -16x. And then I'm going to go to the keyboard mode and a squared at the bottom. This is how you put an exponent in. So -16 x squared. I'm going to say plus, not equals, plus 104x, and then plus 56. And so you're going to notice that my parabola is kind of hard to read. So I need to think about how I can make my screen a little easier to read. So there are a couple of things that I can do. First, I'm going to take my keyboard and put it away. One, I can simply zoom in. So I can zoom in, and I can rearrange this using the plus at the top. I can zoom in, and I can continue to zoom in. That's too much, right? So I'm going to zoom out. And so when I look at this, I see that my zeros, it looks like one of my zeros is located at 7. Okay. One of my zeros is located at 7, and it looks like another one of my zeros is located at -1/2. And I've got to think about which one of these zeros makes sense. Well, it makes sense that the positive zero is the zero that's going to make sense in the function. In other words, this flare is going to